All right. Thank you for joining us. Hello, MVLA students and parents. You are here to watch the MVLA Student Voices webinar. Before we get started, we're going to enable Spanish interpretation. So Francis, take it away.
Buenas noches. Se utilizará la función de interpretación de Zoom para oír la junta en español. Todos los participantes de esta llamada deben seleccionar el idioma que prefieren. Pueden hacer clic en el idioma correspondiente cuando el anfitrión active la función de interpretación. Dicha función se encuentra en el panel de herramientas en el icono del globo en sus pantallas.
Great. All right. If you are logging into this session, you are here to listen to MVLA alum and senior panel. We're beginning with the alum panel until 7:40. If you are not in the right session, please go back to the Countdown website for the right link. Please help us improve our offerings by answering the question to this poll. All right. During the talk, parents and students feel free to use the Q&A to ask questions, as we might have a chance to answer them later. So tonight I am joined by our wonderful alums from Mountain View and Los Altos. So first things first, we're going to get started with going around introducing yourselves, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. So I'm going to pick who goes first. So I'm going to go by the order of my screen. Kavya, if you could introduce yourself, your college, and what you think your major will be.
Yeah, I'm Kavya. I go to Northwestern. I'm a freshman, and my majors are journalism and biology.
Excellent. Michael, if you could introduce yourself next.
Hi, I'm Michael. I go to UC Santa Barbara, and I'm a financial mathematics major there.
Thanks, Michael. Bridget, if you could introduce yourself next.
Hey, everyone. Sorry, can you all hear me okay? I'm at the beach.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
beautiful
great.
setting. It's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm Bridget, and I'm a freshman at Stanford. Currently I'm planning on majoring in either like English, American Studies, history, maybe a minor in communications. We don't have to declare till end of freshman year or end of sophomore year. So not quite sure yet.
Perfect. Aman, you next.
Hi, I'm Aman. I go to Tufts in Boston, and I'm planning on double majoring in computer science and cognitive and brain science.
And then Kai, you are here a little bit early from Los Altos. If you want to wait until 7:40, you're going to be on with seniors. Right now, the alums are on. So if you want to come back at 7:40, Kai, does that sound good?
I'll be back later.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So let's get started with question one. You are college students. What do you wish you would have known or would have believed about the college process when you were in high school? We're going to go in the same order. Kavya, take it away.
Yeah, I think one of the things I wish I would have known when I was in high school is that you don't have to have everything figured out by the time you get to college, because I know I really have changed my paths and all of that so many times since I've gotten here. I think the other thing is that it's really worth it to do the research in when you're deciding, or if you want to make decisions earlier on. I think it's really worth it to do the research into specific majors just to see what the course offerings are, because I think course offerings are something that kind of differ, and just looking at what you would be, I guess, what you're signing up for, and understanding more how the university functions on a major level, which was pretty important for me, because I think each college has a different way of doing it, and I think that's an underrated aspect of it. I also think like the quarter versus semester system is kind of a big thing, because I work on the quarter system, which is pretty different, and I think that's a choice that students should probably consider at least slightly.
Bridget, you next.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Kavya said. I think it's like she said, it's okay to change what you want to do. Like I personally, I don't need to know my major yet, which is really great. And it allows you a chance to really explore your interests. And I think college is a great way to do that. You can also you don't need to know what like you don't need to like stick to the same activities you did in high school. You can like totally like try out new things, which is a really great aspect of college. And so I guess I kind of like wish I knew that. And then also like it's really important to find the best fit for you. And like I feel like everyone's so different in like what they want and what they want in their college experience. So I think just like really researching, like Kavya said, and finding like what matches your interests the best, I think is great.
Michael, you next.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everybody. How like it's once you get into a college, it's flexible, so you can apply as something, you can get in as a certain major, and you can completely switch it and have a completely different career by the end of your 4 years. Another thing I'd say is regarding to like your application essays, I feel like one thing I wish I kind of knew differently and did better is that you have to like know how to really dig deep and like think like introspectively into yourself and really find what makes you, because there's so many like plain and like super generic essays you could write about yourself, but you really have to know yourself and have to like dig super deep into yourself to make a really good and personal essay.
Excellent. So I wanted to also introduce our other panelist who just joined us, Mia. If you could introduce yourself, your college, and what your major is, you think possibly.
Hi, sorry. My name is Mia. I went to Mountain View High School and Freestyle. I go to Northwestern University, and I am an RTBF major, which is our film major. And then I'm probably also sociology or maybe political science. And I'm doing the integrated marketing and communication certificate.
Not busy at all, just so much free time. Yeah, great. Excellent. If we could go on, Aman, back to that question about what you wish you would have known about the college process.
Trying to make sure I don't repeat what anyone else has said, which I very much agree with everyone else. I think when you start getting acceptances in March and April, remembering that it is a tiny bit random. Like, I feel like you'll hear this a lot over your college process. They'll be like, oh, it's random. Like, it'll depend on like who had coffee that day or who didn't and who's reading your application. And, it's hopefully not that random. I'm hoping that the Starbucks barista that made my admissions officer's coffee that morning isn't the reason I did or didn't get into a specific college. But I do think that because there's like 50,000 applications, or in the case of like a UC, over 100,000 applications and maybe less than 100 readers, there's only so much they're going to see your application. Like 20 minutes is all they're going to read, all your essays, your activities, your grades, your entire transcript. So if you don't get in somewhere and someone else does, and you're like, I don't know why that happened, there's 2,000 different reasons that could be. And eventually you'll end up somewhere that you like. But that only happens if you make your college list correctly. I think the only horror stories I've ever heard about like, oh, this kid didn't get in anywhere, is if you look at their resume and then you look at their college list, you realize they made a fatal mistake. So just make sure that you listen to everyone's advice, apply to enough safeties, make sure you're applying to real safeties so you actually get into college. And again, make sure you do your research into your safeties. If this helps, research your safeties first and fall in love with the school that accepts 70% of its applicants. So then you're happy with that before you go start researching places like Harvard and Yale that literally let in 2% of applicants right now.
Yeah. We're going to not stress about this process and apply to diverse colleges. I totally agree with you, Aman. So question 2, in what ways did attending an MVLA high school prepare you for college? What were you unprepared for this year? Let's start with Mia, since she's new.
So I went to Freestyle, and so the first thing I thought of is now I'm a film major. And as an RTBF major, we have to take 3 like intro classes our freshman year, and they have all been completely reviewed for me. And that's just because Freestyle is so advanced. I was basically learning college material in my film production class, which is incredible. I came into the program with way more film experience than any of my peers. And that's been really helpful for me. And it made freshman year less stressful. And I just feel like I was so well prepared because of freestyle. I just cannot like thank freestyle enough.
That's wonderful. It's a great video clip for freestyle. Kavya, you next. In what ways did attending prepare you, or were you unprepared for something?
I think one of the things that I am both like a STEM and humanities major, so I think I really get the gamut of what Northwestern's like course offerings and like difficulties are. I think one of the things that I was most prepared for was just kind of really working hard to do well in my classes. And I didn't feel like high school was like necessarily easy for me, and college is definitely not easy for me. I take general chemistry, and anyone who's a pre-med knows that that's a really, really rough class. And I think one of the things that I wasn't prepared for specifically as a STEM major was like failing exams and like repeatedly failing exams. Like I failed half of my chemistry exams by now. And I think taking that into account is a really big thing. I think extracurriculars really helped me. I did the talent in high school, shout out, I guess. And that's like having that experience and like being able to engage in all of these different topics and ideas and with all of these different people in all of in like and having a diverse offering of extracurriculars I think really helped me out because I was able to figure out what I enjoyed more. And I think one of the things that I wasn't prepared for as much was like the where humanities classes work, maybe, because I think there's a lot more. I think that's very different between high school and college, but I don't think it was necessarily like a terrible transition. I think it was just different.
Gotcha. All right, and that's going to bounce around a little bit, change things up. Michael, how about this one for you? In what ways did attending prepare you or keep you unprepared?
Yeah, so I feel like MVLA like Los Altos High, like the class difficulty definitely helped me. Like it switching over to college classes wasn't too bad. I'm not taking like super hard classes like chemistry, all those like pre-bio stuff, but generally I feel like it prepared me pretty well in terms of course load and what to expect. Also just like the general like academic culture at like Los Altos High was really, really helpful. It's like MVLA in general, the district is like one of the best in like California statistically. And like it really helps you just like surround yourself with people who are also like academically driven and kind of prepares you for the work ethic into college.
That's great to hear. That's a great ad for us, Michael. Thank you. Let's go down to the next question. Question 3. Tell us a bit about your college experience so far. Bridget, let's start with you.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, there's a dog in the background. I really love college so far. I really been enjoying, we're on the quarter system at Stanford. So far I've gone through fall and winter quarter, which has allowed me to explore a ton of different classes. And I'm currently on spring break, about to start spring quarter in a week or so. So yeah, when you enter college, like there's always like a lot going on. And I feel like, I guess like when you're like going into college, like meeting people and like getting like settled into your own courses and like living in a dorm, like that's all like kind of a course in itself. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off my ringer really fast. But yeah, no, I feel like that's definitely a course in its own. And so far, like my professors have been really great. And I feel like it's been easy to meet them through office hours. And also like if you have the chance, like I recommend like taking some like smaller courses. So like a great way to meet people and also get to know your professors better, like a 15-unit course or a 15-person course. It's really great. And then also in college, I've been able to like explore my interests. In high school, I always wanted to like do the school newspaper, but I wasn't able to because like student government and like that just like my schedule didn't really work with it. But I've been able to like pursue my passion of writing through like writing for the Stanford Daily newspaper. And I've written for like the news and arts and life sections and also like the sports section. So I really enjoyed that. And then I'm also on dorm government. So I like help plan events for the dorm and run the social media for the dorm, which has been like a great way to meet people.
What's on the
and
social media for a dorm, Bridget? Is it like this water fountain is the best water fountain?
oh, it's like, yeah, it's like advertising ideas. Like we did a game of assassins in my dorm. I don't know if you guys know what that is. But it's like a fun game. And so like I helped like run that and like say like who's eliminated and then like yeah, just like fun events. But yeah, no, it's been really fun. I'm gonna also participate in intramural sports next quarter. So there are like lots of great ways to get involved in college. And I highly recommend doing that. So it's been great so far.
That's awesome. You make me want to go to college again. Aman, tell us a bit about your college experience so far.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo Bridget's thing about just how many things there are to do in college. Also want to shout out dorm Instagrams. I just came back from like a trivia night that we had between us and a rival dorm. It was great. I won $4. So unfortunately, I'm in Boston, so that won't even cover a cup of coffee, but for the pride. So yeah, I think like just trying out new clubs has been really fun. I did ballroom dancing last semester. Didn't continue with that, but it was fun. Learned to like waltz, and I felt very fancy doing that. I even competed actually, which was weird. And there's a lot of ways to just kind of jump right in. Like I went to a Model UN conference in October, and for reference, I'd started college like 6 weeks before that. And it was just fun because I love that even if there are competitive activities outside of classes in college, it's not like in high school where everyone's trying to win an award for their college application. I think a lot of us might have had a similar experience. I did debate in high school, so definitely had that. But in college, like Model UN was just like we went, we basically just like went, debated, and then outside of committee, I was getting lunch with like people from all around the country that were attending the conference, and it was definitely a very different environment and way more friendly. And I think even on a college campus, it's the same. Everyone's like studying something different. And especially in the first few weeks, I was like meeting new people, creating my friend group. I just met a lot of people that had really interesting and different interests, which is very cliche. And everyone's going to be like, oh, my college is looking for intellectually curious people. You will hear the word intellectually curious in every single college brochure you read over the next year or so, or how many ever years you're before your college process is over. But I think it really does ring true for college. Not to say that LEHS wasn't the same way, but I think it's just different when everyone's able to kind of study the same thing. Like I've done my, like my major classes, like I'm taking neuroscience classes, computer science classes, that are, hard. It's computer science. But on top of that, I took like a queer music class this semester for my art credit, and last semester I took an education class, but which were both really interesting. I'm like great friends with my professors, and they're nowhere near related to what I want to do, but because I have to complete some kind of gen ed requirement, might as well have fun with it.
Awesome. That's very cool. And then Mia, if you want to round us out, telling us a bit about your college experience so far.
Yeah, I've loved college. It's been amazing. I would say I got mainly involved in the film community on campus because it's very tight knit. It's a small program. And so I get to like work on sets. Right now I'm director of photography on a student grant film, which is really cool. The school gave us like some money to make a film, which is only for freshmen, which is really, really fun. Some other things that I like learned coming to college, the quarter system is definitely for me, but it's like not for everyone. Like especially as a humanities student, it's really great. You get to try so many classes that it's just not possible to take on the semester system. Like I get to take 4 per quarter at least. So I'm taking like 5 this quarter. That's just crazy. That's not something you can do normally. And like, so it's really important to like look at the structure of your school's system. And the other thing I was thinking is like, look at the distribution requirements that your school requires, or like, because I have a lot of friends at other schools that have like a really large core program where like you have to take, even if I was like an arts major, I'd still take a bunch of math classes and stuff like that. But here I had to take 2 math classes, which were like very broad. I counted some classes that were really not very mathy at all. And now I'm completely done, and I never have to take a STEM class again. And like that was something I was really looking for in a college. And it's been amazing that I can focus on what I actually want to do. And so like, but that's something that you don't really find like right away when you're researching a college, is like what they're going to require you to do once you get to that school. So that's something that I would look out for.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. And now I think when this question would be really helpful for some seniors who are now, right, they're about to face starting college and starting making a whole bunch of new friends potentially and creating like a lot of new relationships all at once. So this question is, how have you made some of your friends at college so far? Kavya, let's start off with you.
Yeah, I know I didn't always have the easiest time. I think making friends, I think most people I knew at my school didn't. I think one of the big things was I think casual interactions really built friendships much more easily than you would think. Like, I think one of the highlights of college is just like you ran into people randomly and you go get lunch or you go get dinner. And I think that's one of the big things that's helped for me. I think just activities have been really helpful. I'm really involved in the newspaper and I've made a lot of really good friends through that. I think classes were also really helpful. I mean, like classes are very obvious, but I think also you just kind of bond over like complaining about your chem professor. I'm really bringing up chem a lot, but I think it's a really critical experience. But I think like very casual interactions, I think it's not something to worry about, but I think it's also something to always in your first quarter or semester, I think it's something you should be working on, but I don't know if it's necessarily something to always worry about because I think it'll work out.
Gotcha. Michael, what do you think? How have you made some of your friends at college so far?
I'll be honest, I don't even know how I met some of my friends. I feel like you just meet people. Like especially at the start, everybody's looking to make friends. Everybody's, lonely at the start because they're gone from their home and everything. So just any person that you meet that you could possibly see sometime in the future being a friend, get their social media, get their Snap, get their Insta, get their number, and then, trying to coordinate stuff together. Like people like just coordinate some like group thing, just wherever your school like has. For me, it's like we have the beach, right? We can do a lot of stuff at the beach. Just coordinate group events. Like everybody always wants to have that like group coordinator at the start, and it doesn't take that much work. You just add people to like a group chat, say everybody, hey, let's come here. So I just be open, give them your social media. And just at the start, kind of branch out, get as many people as you like can under your like scope or your branches of like interest, and then you can kind of weed them down as like the year goes on. But just be really open at the start.
Excellent. That's great advice. Before I jump to some of the questions in the chat that some of you have already responded to, but I think some of them would be helpful if you haven't been looking at the Q&A. Is there any question that I didn't call on you and that you really wanted to answer because you had some different ideas from what we've already heard?
Everyone says this, but sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's okay. Mia and then Aman. Yeah.
I got told this a lot coming into college and I was like, yeah, whatever, but it's actually really true. If you leave your door open in college or if you deadbolt your door, like we have deadbolts on our door, it's like the best thing ever. I met one of my best friends, basically just he knocked on our door like the second day. It was like 10 p.m. and he ended up like staying till like 3 a.m. because we were just like hanging out, and like that's kind of the community that my dorm has on campus is definitely the first place that I made friends because everyone's looking for the same thing. So if you're just like inviting and you're like open to anyone, talking to anyone, that's how you're going to make some really cool friends.
That's great. Great advice. Aman, what do you think?
I definitely want to echo the dorm part, just like sitting in a common room or like a random place, especially that there's like this critical period of the first month or two where like if you walk up to any random person and start a conversation, no one's going to find it awkward or weird, even if you might. So just making sure that you really put yourself out there the first month or two, because as you go later on into the year, you kind of start getting the cliques and the kind of close friend groups that are more reminiscent of high school. And of course, that doesn't mean you can't make friends later, but that means then making friends becomes more of like go join different activities. But at the start, it really does mean like going to a random club info meeting, sitting next to someone, and then 6 months later, you guys get lunch every week. Yeah.
And sorry, could I add something really fast? Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think yeah, like a really great way to meet friends like through classes. Like if you're in like a really big lecture, just like kind of getting to know people, like talking to the person sitting next to you or something, getting their number. And something I really enjoyed in college is like studying with friends, and I've like built a lot of friendships through that. Just like I think someone else mentioned this, bonding through the like struggle of the class. Like if it's hard, like you can go through it together. And then you kind of just have that like bond that you form, and like you like have these friendships, which is really great. So I recommend that a lot.
Agreed. There was a version of this question in the Q&A, but I thought it was a really good question. If you could go back to high school and do something different, being where you are now, what's something that you would change or do differently? Anyone who feels comfortable answering that question can take it.
I think I can start off.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's like a long list that I could spend hours talking about, but I think one of the biggest things is for me was not spending enough time doing what actually interested me and focusing a lot more on what might look good on an application. I think one of the flaws of our school culture, district culture, mainly because of like the area that we are in, the Bay Area being so competitive and known for like the high school culture that it has, is that we focus so much on like, oh, if I'm spending all this time on this extracurricular, how is it going to look on my college application? And going into college, I realized that like, um, sure, I have academic interests that I kind of cultivated through high school classes, extracurriculars, but I realized that I don't really know what I do for fun. And, you know, I like hiking, I like the outdoors. But again, I do think that um, spending 4 years in college is like 4 years of your life, not just about the academics, but like making friends, doing stupid things in the nights that your parents don't really want you to do, so they don't really know. But I think I feel like I wish I had one more year of high school where I could have done high school before going to college. So just remembering that, like, even if you're doing something that'll look good in a college application, make sure you're doing it because you're actually interested in it, because otherwise it's really not worth it.
That's a great answer. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Okay. I also think this could be a helpful question. When it comes to, hi Precious, we'll be with you soon. When it comes to college essays, one of you mentioned, I think it might have been Michael, about like digging deeper into a college, into like yourself and reflecting deeper in order to write a good college essay. How did you do that? Any advice for people who are starting off and writing college essays?
I can go if you want. I really recommend just like going to the website and like digging deep into different courses and like different activities, like rather than saying, oh, like I really want to take an English course. You can say like, oh, I really want to take English like 50 with this professor, and then explain why, and like connect it back to like your like personal interests and your experiences. I think that can be like specificity, I feel like, is better. And then also you can like look into like different programs like study abroad, or different extracurricular activities, like, oh, I really want to join the club volleyball team or something like that, and like just like going deeper and talking about that. And then I feel like specificity can like really help and really show that you put a lot of effort into looking into the school.
Great answer.
I think
Anyone?
thing I would do.
Yes. Sorry, no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I think one thing I would recommend is just write a million different drafts of things. Like one of the things that really helped me is like you can't be afraid to write a bad draft, because all of your first drafts are going to be terrible because you're just trying to figure it out. I wrote like I probably brainstormed like 7 different Common Apps, and I probably wrote like 3 before I actually decided on which one I was going to submit. And I think working with that and just looking at a lot of different things and not locking down what you actually want to write about or work with until later on when you're more solid in your decision. And I think giving your drafts a lot of like time, not just in like editing and writing, but like in conceptualizing them and developing how they reflect who you are, because you're first off, you're putting your best foot forward of yourself, but you're also trying to provide a version of yourself that is not like necessarily the best, but maybe the most interesting or the most unique and something that they want, because colleges don't, because there's a million different students who've done violin in high school, but like maybe only one student has a really specific reason for why they do violin that's like maybe really compelling. So like working with that and thinking about uniqueness and personal stuff is, I think, really important.
I would add on to that. I like when I was writing or about to write, I was like, I'm so boring. Like nothing has ever interesting happened to me. Like a lot of you hear about people that wrote college essays that are like they like almost died and then like it like sparked an interest in them. And it's like I never had anything interesting happen to me. And I was like really like stressed. And I feel like it's hard to feel like you have a story that's good enough to tell. But I would just tell myself that like the essay that I ended up writing was like not a crazy concept. It was why I like my major and like what inspired me to like my major. And I got into the school that I wanted to. And it's like, you don't have to write the most profound piece of literature ever imaginable. Like, it just has to be like a good insight to you and like why you're passionate about what you're passionate about.
Great insight, you guys. So a little recap. I'm going to go through kind of what a lot of like salient points that you guys are mentioning. And if while I'm going around, if there are any other words of wisdom that have popped up while someone else is talking, let me know. And then we're going to move on to our senior panel who are joining us. So here are some of the things that you were mentioning. A lot of people were really highlighting the quarter system and how that can change your learning experience in college. A lot of students were mentioning that in college, you really get to expand and explore these different things outside of the classroom and try on all these different interests and extracurricular activities, because you're not quite as focused necessarily on like having to curate the perfect set of extracurriculars like you were in high school. In addition to the fact that like some people really did kind of change their mind academically, which is pretty wonderful. And then we were talked for a while about like college essays and digging deeper into that. There was also sharing about how you get to meet a whole bunch of new interesting people and intellectually curious, I believe Aman was what constantly appears in those pamphlets. And also just how STEM and humanities can really differ. The difficulty of some STEM classes is not quite what Mountain View and Los Altos has prepared you for. And then when it comes to humanities, there were some wonderful highlights. There was also like how wonderful it can be to be in a small class with professors where you can really get to know them. So yeah, those are some of the wonderful things that you guys were sharing. Thank you so much for letting us know. Before we move on to our seniors who are about to be done with high school, is there any other words of wisdom that you would like to share out loud with our parents and students?
I can give one quick piece of advice. I feel like, at least for the seniors right now, like, or I guess most of you have heard back from all colleges. I know Stanford, I didn't hear back till April 1st, which is a really long wait. Yeah, but I recommend trying to like keep yourself busy during the process, like while you're waiting to like hear back, and like doing things you enjoy, giving yourself time to like hang out with friends and like that kind of thing. Cause like I feel like people don't talk about it that much, but it really is such a waiting game. And it's like, I don't know, it's like can feel very stressful at times. So like just really focus on like doing things you enjoy and like trying to take your mind off it, not constantly like checking your emails, refreshing the page. And just remember that like it's all going to work out in the end. And like you might get some rejections, wait lists, but like where you're meant to be, like you'll end up there. And like that's just really important to remember and have hope throughout the whole process.
And for people who are about to start applying and start writing essays, start early. look at the prompts in June, start writing in July, have some drafts ready before school starts, so that you're not writing your Common App on December 31st. I definitely know people who did that, and it's not fun to be writing college apps over Christmas. I promise you that. And don't tokenize your trauma in order to write your essays. I think we're told so many times, and we see so many examples of people writing about really hard experiences, and as you should, right? These are meant to be vulnerable and personal, but don't feel like you have to write about them to get into college. Write about what you want to, not what you think the admissions officer wants to read, because they're looking to see who you are and learn more about you. If you want to talk about something hard and vulnerable, please go ahead, but don't do it just to get into college.
All righty. Thank you so much, alums. That is all that we're asking for you this evening. We really appreciate your time, and thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you so much. Good luck, everyone.